Welcome to Adtech Cafe. I'm here with Dave Rosner, CMO of Audigent. I'm John Piccone, President for the Americas of Adform. Dave, how are you?
Great to be here, John. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for joining me today. It's a beautiful day in New York. You're in New York, yes?
Yes, in New York and have been able to enjoy the weather.
Yeah. Here comes the fall. I can't wait. Dave, tell everybody about Audigent so they have some context, what you do.
Sure. So I'm Dave Rosner. I'm the CMO of Audigent. Audigent is the leading data activation, curation, and identity platform. For those of you who have been following the trends, data curation has been one of the big change agents in advertising and programmatic, and we were the first that really fully committed to that trend. It came out of this need for us to think beyond cookies and rethink how data is used in advertising. And regardless of where cookies end up, it led us on a path that just advances the whole industry. So it makes us a little smarter, it makes us a little faster, delivers better results for clients, and more revenue for publishers. So just it's been a real step change, and now we are not the only person talking about curation. So very excited to be where we are, and then to see that there's been so much growth.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats on all that growth. Obviously, a leader in the field. So congrats to you and the team. So Dave, next week, today's October 1st. So starting October 6th, we have Ad Week New York, which is the epitome of all things good ad tech and media marketing in New York City. And you and I both spent a lot of time on the road learning from our colleagues about what's going on, participating in panels. Thought it would make sense for us just to review a couple of things that we thought would be interesting coming up next week, in case our listeners want to go to a couple of things that they're not sure which one to go to. But I understand that you have your own interpretation how to evaluate what panel to go to. Is that right?
Yes. First off, let me say, and I've said this to a lot of people, so some of your listeners or viewers are going to be very familiar with Advertising Week New York, and some may not be. So it's one of the main tentpoles on the calendar in media and marketing. It wasn't originally an ad tech moment, but as ad tech has become increasingly important, ad tech at Advertising Week has become an increasingly important part of those conversations. So go. If you're thinking about going, you have to go. It still remains really important. And I will also say the same team launched Advertising Week London, and we participated in that this year, and it was fantastic. So that is also gaining a lot of momentum. So from a panel standpoint, and I say this to you, and I say this to everybody, as someone who is on panels, attends panels, build panels, the world does not need any more boring panels. The world does not need enter whatever the generic title might be. And I would offer one, but I'm sure it's going to be on the schedule for Advertising Week this year. The world does not need super generic panel number 500. Like, you marketers and the folks who work with them, I have a solution and a matrix that I use when I'm developing my own panels, and I use that same approach for how I think about what panels to recommend people to go to. So I'm going to take you through it, John.
Please.
It's really easy. It's a 2x2 matrix.
Let me get my pen.
If you have your Sharpies, you can make one right now.
I'm ready.
On one axis is talent, right? That's really basic. Who's on the panel? Now, some people think that celebrities would be the top, and then maybe industry celebrities would be the second tier. I actually flip it. I am much more interested when I go to an event to see people who I think are going to make me smarter about what I do than people who I can post on Instagram that I saw them. So I am less into the movie star at Advertising Week, although they always come, unless they're doing something really interesting in our industry. And I will say, a bunch of years ago at Cannes, they had Kim Kardashian, and I did not realize how successful she was as a business person and how smart she was until she got on stage and blew everybody's mind with all kinds of businesses that she's spinning up. Okay, but for Advertising Week, I put industry talent number 1, and then you could have name recognition or celeb talent. So that's kind of the y axis. The x-axis should be the actual topic.
Mhm.
So, and there's two ways of thinking about the topic. Okay. The first one is the obvious one. We both work in ad tech. What is a really interesting take on a trend that's happening that people are interested, that people care about? Let's say in ad tech or whatever your field is in advertising or marketing, right? So don't go with the generic title. Figure out your angle, your company's angle. Make it something that is compelling or fun. You'd be surprised. At South by Southwest, I named an event with a fun title, and it was the only thing there. I think it was with Mondelez. I think we had milk and cookies, a milk and cookie session instead of like a beer and barbecue. It
Yes,
it
very
immediately
relevant.
became a sold out event. So topic. So either you've got your industry topic, or we're all human beings, just like people like celebrities. There could be something, and I've picked a couple that just pique your interest because you're part of the human race and you're like, wow, I don't know what is going on, but that's a crossover between marketing and what I think is interesting. And if I can, I really want to check it out. So those are the axes that I use. Really good yardstick to make sure that the panels that you create are successful and well attended. And that's also how I organized my picks for Advertising Week New York 2024.
Right on. So you do have your top picks, is what I'm understanding and what I'm hearing. And
I'm ready.
you put them through this elaborate matrix. And
It,
there's an X and a Y axis. And if you're in the top right, that's a good place to be in Dave's XY axis matrix grid. So
yes.
lead us off. Who do you got first?
Okay. So I'm going to start with I have talent as the first area, and then great topics as the second. So let's start with talent. And this is something I'm picking something I think is interesting and something I think anybody who is listening to this podcast can
Yep.
immediately use for their next event. This is the ensemble, right? Like here are a bunch of people who are in senior roles who I know are going to bring their A game. I feel like people are much more prepared for panels now to say something that cuts through the clutter. So this one is all about the ensemble talent cast. This is driving real-time brand impact with always-on connected commerce. Okay.
Okay.
So
Who's in
very
there?
of the moment topic. And it's got the president of growth practices at Zenith, the senior manager omni brand marketing at Bayer, Jessica Grasso. It's got the CEO of Omnicom Commerce Group, Jacqueline Baker, and Daniel Perez, who's the CMO of InMarket. So this is a big ensemble, and I
What
think
time is it so people know? When is it
this
and
is
what time?
Wednesday at noon.
Wednesday at noon. Okay, good.
Wednesday at noon.
And this is all at
So
the
there's
Penn
my first.
District. And I need to correct myself. I said October 6th. It starts on October 7th. So my apologies on that.
Yeah.
So the Penn District, this one that Dave just referred to is Wednesday at noon.
Mhm.
Great. And what do you like about this one?
I like that it's an ensemble. I think you get this many good thinkers in the industry, senior thinkers, and you put them together on a topic that is very of the moment. So driving
Mhm.
real-time impact with always on connected commerce, like a lot of crossover, a lot of potential to walk away with from a panel like this being a little smarter. Like one of these folks, if not more, is going to share an insight you can take home to your office and bring and start thinking about how you run your business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can I share one?
Yeah. Let's go.
Thanks. Thanks.
And I want to know where it fits on the matrix, John.
Well, okay. Well, that's your matrix. I have a little bit of a different matrix. So my matrix is, can I learn from this person about something that I may already have a point of view on, and I need it to be either validated or corrected or changed?
Mhm.
And then can I then go and meet this person in case
Okay.
that they did convince me? Because I think it's very valuable to make these connections, right? So
Mhm.
going early, I think my y-axis is what can I learn? And then the x-axis is can I get there early enough to meet the person?
Got it.
Right. So that's where I kind of lean in. So I guess it's similar to your point about content. So on let me see what time this one is. So the one that I'm definitely psyched for is Tuesday at 8 a.m. It's an early one. It's called Why It's Hard to Meet Customers' Needs and How to Succeed. It's presented by Axiom. And on the panel is Keith Camusa, who's Chief Products and Technology Officer at Axiom, Jane Cathari, who's Chief Solutions Officer at IPG and Global Chief Analytics Officer at Initiative, Katie Varner. So Keith Kamusa has been in the game for a while. He is one of the guys who built Cadreon from the very early days with Christy Argillian when they were over on the West Coast, which then spun into some of the beginning theories of retail media. They've done an incredible amount of work unto themselves and collaborative. So when Keith talks about data, he's had the opportunity not only to work at an agency, but he also worked at Warner Media and helped them build their tech stack. And now he's at Axiom. And he also did time at Dentsu. So in that spirit of what data means to brands and how you can actually leverage and what you can get your hands on is probably the hardest piece. And this is someone who's been continually trying to figure out how to make data, which is complex, simple, and turn it into media value. So for me, I always appreciate people who have the hands-on keys, practitioner experience, but it can also translate it to brands and what they need to understand through the lens of an agency and or through a technology vendor.
Yeah, well, first off, if your goal is to get there early, that's an early start.
Yeah, it's an early start. I know.
That Axiom breakfast has been part of the Advertising Week calendar for a while. They've been doing that for a number of years, and it's always incredibly well run. Like that, they found their mark there over at Axiom, and they've held it. So that's going to be a really good one. It's always a good one.
Awesome.
All right, I'll follow up on my access. I'll go next.
Okay.
The next one is, let's pull it up. This is about celebrity again. So there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of people who could show up to Advertising Week who are traditional celebrities that would move the needle for me, except for maybe Kara Swisher,
yeah, sure,
who I just completely fanboy over and have seen her speak at a couple of our events. This one is the other side of celebrity, which is celebrities in our industry. And of the brands that have had incredible rises recently, Stanley is one of them. And I do not know why. So this is a panel called The Thirst is Real, How Stanley is Balancing Legacy and Relevancy. And it's with the Chief Brand Officer from Stanley and the Managing Director of Laundry Service. So this is one of those ones where it's like, that's a voice that I want to hear from. That is someone who really, that brand has just come on so strong, has made its mark on culture, has become part of the cultural zeitgeist. And I'd be really interested in hearing how they either harnessed it or created that momentum. And that is Wednesday at 11:10 a.m. You'll notice that my picks are probably later in the day. I'm more of an evening person.
You're a more popular guy than I am. That's fair. Okay, so
I'm true, but thank you.
I'm up. This one's Monday, 10:10. So AM, not so bad. This one's the importance of metadata and contextual targeting for CTV advertising, presented by TiVo. And so on this panel, you got Richie Hayden, the co-founder and president of Iris TV, doing a ton of cool stuff out in the CTV space. Tim Ware from Marketplace, Kevin Wigan, Dentsu Media, and Fariba Zemanian, who is at TiVo as VP Data and Advertising Sales. And so having been in both the addressable TV, the linear TV, and the connected TV space in my past, to see it transform into really leveraging contextual value with actual data bits that you can hold on to, when we know that you can't always get the addressable signal, at least in the CTV space, that you can in the digital space, to know how far we're getting, to then not only think about if it's cookie deprecation, which didn't really be relevant for the CTV space because they never really had it, but then trying to layer in and set a new standard for CTV about this contextual targeting. There's a lot of good work going on in that space. So to hear how we think about keyword utility for big screen linear type of scale, that's a good panel. 10:10 a.m.
10:10 a.m. reasonable time. I hope they bring more data into that space. We definitely could use it.
Yeah.
I think it was you and I. You were on a panel with me 2 years ago where we were pushing someone on the buy side.
That's right.
To bring more in. But that's a story for another day.
That was it. Right. That was that week. That was 2 years ago.
That was at Advertising Week.
How time flies.
I've got another ensemble talent panel with a very mediocre name, but that's okay because I think this could be
Good
good.
lead. It's good lead in.
Yeah, the future of programmatic.
Ah,
So, okay, fine.
and
But
that's
here's who's on it, right? Rachel Gantz, who's the managing director of Proximic by Comscore. Jennifer Kisling, I don't know if I'm saying that right, vice president of programmatic at Paramount, so already really interesting. Kristen Williams, SVP of strategic partnerships over at Magnite, and Georgina Haig, global strategy and partnerships director at MIQ. First off, I love that this is an all-woman panel. And I
yeah.
also think you've got a lot of senior roles. You've got the SSP perspective, the data perspective, you've got the brand perspective. I just think you've got a very good chance of hearing a very strong conversation coming out of that group.
Excellent, excellent. So my next one is probably not something that makes me jump for joy, but it's critical, and it's the mental health matters with Kenneth Cole and the Mental Health Coalition. Kenneth Cole himself and Maurice Dubois from the anchor of CBS News in New York. And the lead sentence is mental health is the prevailing issue of our time. And I think it's something that we now need to ramp up more and more and more because the impact of, some may say it was COVID, some may say there's already issues that COVID kind of let out of the bottle, right? So in that spirit, I think there's a lot of people who have a lot on their plate mentally. And the more that we can talk about that and try and get that conversation going, the better. And so I'm really interested to see how someone like Kenneth Cole can bring that in, how it thinks through the design, but also a brand presence. And obviously you have somebody as a journalist can actually ask those types of questions in a thought-provoking way. But more on this subject is just better for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of the programming at Advertising Week is 1 second you can be talking about the best thermos, and the next second you can be talking about cultural issues that touch everybody once they turn off their work brain and go home and affect everybody. So yeah, those are great. That one sounds great. I have
one more. We got time for one more for each of us, and then we'll roll it up.
Okay, I might have two more, but fine. All right, so here is one where I was just like, that's a good topic and great people on it. So this one is, oh, I don't see the time, but we will get everybody the time. This is consumers have infinite media choices. Why don't advertisers? So
I like that.
There's a lot of ways you can write your titles. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
It's hosted by Laurel Rossi, who's fantastic. She's the CRO over at Infillion. When I first picked this panel, it was because Amanda DeVito, who's the chief marketing officer at Butler Till, was on it. And if you haven't seen her on a panel, she's amazing. So
she's amazing.
Strong recommendation right there. And I see they've added a number of other people. So they added Jatinder Singh, who's the global head of data and AI at Accenture Song. I know him. He's also quite brilliant. And then Junu Puvetti, who's the Senior Director of Audience and Insight Measurement at Albertsons Collective, so the retail perspective. And then David Russley, and I apologize if I'm getting some of these names wrong, Chief Strategy Officer over at Wavemaker. So I had a thumbs up on this panel when it was Laurel and Amanda, so now even stronger reco with all the additions.
Nice. That's at 9:30 on Tuesday.
Okay. Ooh, early. Maybe I'd still go. I'll still go.
You still go. Okay, you said you had two more. Go ahead because I'm looking for the last one that I want to do. So go ahead.
Okay. I'll do these quickly. I won't go through all the detail. This one is you'll never find, this goes under, that's a great topic. Okay. You'll never find chicken tikka masala in India and other global marketing lessons. I just like that. I just like an insight. The fact that they have one right up there in the panel is great. Look, the smarter we are, the more strategic we are, the more we think about insights and ideas, the more effective we're going to be at everything else. So if they're willing to bring one in the actual title of the panel that fits in the title in the space you have to name a panel, that's a very good sign. So that one is that wild card that piqued my interest, and that's a Tuesday at 10:30.
Tuesday at 10:30.
Tuesday
Right
at
on.
10:30. And then you want me to round out the last one? Did you find yours?
I've found mine.
Okay, you go and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay, right on. So Tuesday at 3 o'clock, there is the Saturday Night Live SNL 50, how NBC Universal is transforming brand storytelling through live tentpole events. Right. So if there's ever a franchise that deserves accolades, it's Saturday Night Live, right? We've all gone through our ups and downs with Saturday Night Live, but it's still here. And it's literally made history. So to hear what they're thinking about next, sitting on 50 years of content, is just going to be fascinating. Whether you like them or not, you just got to know what these guys are going to come up with next because they're just such rock stars.
Did you watch last weekend's Saturday Night Live?
I did not. No.
They have brought in they brought Jim Gaffigan on. He's a celebrity guest. And it's amazing. I like Jim Gaffigan. I like Saturday Night Live, so it was special. Okay. Last one goes under a topic, and this is more mainstream. So look, AI is coming up constantly in our business. And what does it mean? So Wednesday at 10:40 a.m., Perplexity AI native search disruptor begins a new chapter in advertising. I don't know what Perplexity will be up to, but we all know that we are figuring out the roles of AI across our orgs in marketing with our tech stack. Our clients are all figuring it out. So it's a big name in AI, and hearing what they're up to and getting that perspective, that's like I think that's one of those ones that might have some staying power.
Nice. Nice. Well, do you think that we're going to run into each other during this event as we cross paths to go to these, or maybe?
If you decide to hang out in the afternoon.
Okay, right, exactly.
And I probably, if I can, I will see you on that morning session. I make the exception because that Axiom event has always been so good. So I might see you next week.
I hope so. And I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing all of your awesome knowledge to our listeners. And it's just great getting in to connect with you and talk about the business that we've been in for quite some time, and hopefully for a lot longer. So thank you for finding the time.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I hope not only do we help people navigate through a great experience at Advertising Week, but that we also inspire some people to or give them the ammunition to raise the game on setting up their own panels in the future. Because
exactly,
we're all in the panels and watching the panels at different points, and we all want both experiences to be amazing. So
right on.
I hope we help.
Right on. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Great to see you.
Great to see you, John.